Now, Trump, from a cultural standpoint, like he just won the whole Easter weekend with Biden's defending Transgender Day of Visibility, or Trump is defending family and faith. Like, the ironic part is, like, you can make the argument that Biden actually goes to church every Sunday and Trump golfs every Sunday.
Trump goes to church too in Palm Beach, just so you know.
Still?
Yes.
When did that start?
A long time ago.
Okay. Well, good. But the point is, he won the weekend. Cultural warfare. But the economy. Trump called himself the king of debt. He's called himself this multiple times. But from a woman's standpoint, like when I interviewed all the models, just to circle back here, I got a little fired up. Women, overwhelmingly, this is their number one issue. Can you pull up the issues, Trump and Biden, and who's winning on that? So here are the top issues in the country. So there's only two ways that Democrats are going to win this election, in my opinion. They play to their base, which is women, or they just double down on the threat to democracy. Because we did the key stats in the swing states. You know, Trump's up, Trump's up, Trump's up, Trump's up. Here are the issues. Top issues for voters. Economy, Trump's up 20 points. Thanks, Bidenomics, shrinkflation. Immigration and the border, Trump's also up 20 points. Mental and physical ability to be the president, Trump's also up 20 points. Abortion, Trump's down 22 points, the Republican Party. So this is a losing issue for Republicans. Like, if they don't get their stuff together, here's the stat for you, by the way. The Biden campaign eyes victory in Florida with focus on abortion rights. Do you have that article, Humberto? Democrats view Florida as pivotal, with abortion rights seen as a rallying cry after the Florida Supreme Court upheld DeSantis' 15-week abortion bans, paving way for the 6-week abortion ban. You're familiar with this. Trump called the 6-week abortion ban a terrible mistake. Trump teased he will announce a new abortion ban this week, offering no other details, basically saying in private conversations Trump has expressed a 16-week abortion ban. Pixie, unless Republicans fix their abortion stance, are progressive liberal women ever going to vote Republican?
Oh, I think absolutely not when it comes to the abortion stance, essentially. I think a lot of progressive women, it's crazy because the Republican Party, first they were like, oh no, this should be a states' rights issue, states should decide. And then you have a bunch of candidates, especially when they were running for presidency. Now they've decided not to. Obviously, Trump is the proposed nominee. But they were talking about having a federal abortion ban and how this was like necessary for the country. So it's like, okay, first you're saying state rights, states should decide, and now you're saying no, actually the government, the federal government should decide when abortion happens. So to me, that's like a giant contradiction. It kind of also shows that the Republican Party is in disarray. There's not like a really clear united front of like when abortion should happen or they should completely ban it. You have a lot of people saying that life begins at conception. So any level, even taking the morning after pill or whatever, is an immediate abortion that should not be allowed. That's a very religious stance. I don't think it's actually based on science, and we could even go into specifics of arguing this. But the point is, it just seems like the Republican Party does not have it together when it comes to a united front on abortion, and that just lets the extremists take over.
If Supreme Court Justice Pixie was voting on this, what would you want to see? You want to revive Roe versus Wade? What do you want to see?
I would want to revive Roe versus Wade. I think people... and I know like this is a whole debate argument, but I do think people have a right to abortion to a certain extent. But yeah.
At what extent?
That's $1 million question.
When is too much? Because I think it's like 90% of abortions are done in the first trimester.
Yes.
So this whole like pervasive narrative of like, oh, they're having abortions at 45 weeks. No.
Most people, that's also the other problem. Most people, the vast, vast, vast majority of people do not have late-term abortions unless if it's risking their life, essentially. Gotcha. So then to completely try to ban it, to me, seems insane, because it's not like most mothers are waiting for the 9 months, essentially, to decide, oh, I don't want this baby
where do you
anymore.
stand on this issue?
So I have to agree with her. I'm obviously pro-life. I worked for pro-life organizations. I fundraise for pro-life clinics in Miami. I've helped them, with goods and stuff like that. But I have to agree with Pixie, where and me and Republicans and conservatives clash on this. Actually, Tim Pool and I were fighting yesterday on Twitter, and his casting director banned me. Essentially, I'll never be welcome back on Tim Pool
What?
because she's an extremist. But I'll tell you about
What
that
was
now.
the position?
So she's right, where we said, Trump said, we're going to overturn Roe v. Wade, give the rights back to the states, let the states decide, right? We did that. That is a huge win. That's something that Trump ran on, and it's something that people were looking forward to 50 years, I think, in the making, these pro-life organizations. But they don't want to stop there. Now they want to involve the federal government again and say, we need to have a federal abortion ban at, I don't know, whatever they said, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is. And so us people who understand how to win elections are saying, we don't want to touch this subject anymore. We're going to leave it up to the states, and we're going to let the states decide. And so they come back to us and say, well, you're a progressive in sheep's clothing. You're a fake Republican. Yes, you're a fake conservative. You're just giving them, how are we going to win? That was the argument with Tim Pool's cast. The argument was that they live secluded in the middle of the mountain. They don't interact with real people. They're not activists. They're not on the ground. They're simply commentators. And their argument is, well, what are we conserving? What are we conserving? We don't ban abortion and stop killing babies, then we're not conserving anything. Who cares about winning if we're gonna, fold on abortion? And it's like, we didn't fold. We already overturned Roe v. Wade and gave it power back to the states, as we said we would do. So now let's just not have this conversation anymore and move forward with what matters most to voters, which is the economy, legal immigration, etc. So, I wrote back to her and I said, well, there's a lot more at stake in terms of winning, like, hello, the foreign wars, the economy, the national debt, I mean, all these things that matter. And so her response back to me was saying that, I'm a feminist and we're conceding an abortion, da-da-da-da-da. Tim Pool comes back to me and says, he's very, what we like to call black pill. So he basically thinks that every election is stolen and whatnot. So he comes back to me and says, elections are not won by convincing people to vote, on issues. Elections are won by going to homeless shelters and just getting fake ballots and then, just, I guess, doing fraudulent stuff. And I mentioned you as an example. I said, really, because we flipped a district in Miami Beach, 25 years, held by a Democrat, by having a moderate person on X, Y, and Z. But again, there's a lot of people, what I like to call chronically online conservatives, who just simply think that being extremist in every single issue and not being strategic is going to win elections, and it's not going to happen. I don't believe Trump is going to have a national abortion anything. I've heard it from advisors, from him himself, where he's like, we don't want to touch this subject anymore. The 6-week abortion ban is actually hurting DeSantis. I also said that yesterday. I've spoken to voters on the ground. He did this behind closed doors after he was elected in November 2022. Yes or no, Fabian?
Correct.
And even I'm sure your district and other districts had things to say, hey, I don't necessarily agree with the 6-week abortion ban. Will I not vote red? No, I'm still going to vote. But it's just not ideal. So I'm very strategic, I'm very business, and I just don't think that having a federal abortion ban for Republicans, it's going to win them.
This is actually such a fascinating topic because I want to get Toria's perspective here. There's not much you and Pixie probably agree on, okay? Super conservative, super progressive, but on this issue, you're aligned. Newsflash, women care about their bodies probably as much as anything.
But I do want to say that it's not about me. Like, I don't care I wouldn't have an abortion. It's not about what I want.
You want to
win.
win.
Very pro-life.
You want to win elections.
I'm a businesswoman. I'm
That's
strategic.
my point. That's my point.
So,
is that what's more important, a victory or a moral victory?
Right.
Winning elections or a moral win for your side? Because this is dude. Look at those numbers again, Humberto. Throw those stats up there. Trump,
I guess I'll never go to Tim Cast.
Trump down the ballot, and then overwhelmingly. Biden and the stuff you just had up there with the abortion stuff.
Can I just add something to it? Because I think it's not just about the win, right? It's about doing what's
Same
right.
stat you just had.
And if you as conservatives, right, if you don't agree to disagree, right? If you can't respect that somebody else will disagree with you and their freedoms for that, then you don't really believe in freedom, right? So we've got to get to something of a compromise, and the social issues can no longer be the distraction from the economy.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and just because abortion is the issue right now, I actually have more faith, and I love what's going on in Florida because people are starting to wake up to the issues, right? And I really appreciate that we have abortion going on the ballot this November, but that's not to say that people are going to say, well, I'm voting down the line. By the way, that's not necessarily the way to vote. Choose your warriors, choose your issues, educate yourself on what's going on, and make those voices heard. Because if you're just going to either extreme and just going down the ballot, you're hurting yourself.
Well, Republicans lost in Ohio with the abortion issue a few months ago. Ohio, which is a red state, they ratified the right to abortion in their constitution, mostly black men, by the way, and also legal marijuana. This is a very conservative red state. And so us strategic, smart people are telling Republicans, hey, you're losing at the state level. You're losing seats. You're losing in these issues, and they're not listening. So would I say it's the Trump campaign? No. Kellyanne Conway, who's involved, she's very much pro-contraceptives. She has a different perspective. So I think he does have good people that understand that this issue could cost them the elections. But there is also a lot of other people on the more conservative Christian side who just want to make it about a total abortion ban. And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Can you show that stat one more time? I'm going to ask Toria this question. Yeah, there it is. Look. And there's some other stats we're going to show. Guys, just Trump's winning overwhelmingly. We showed the swing states, the biggest issue, the economy, the border, the physical and mental ability to be the president. If the Republicans want a surefire way to lose, keep running on this 6-week abortion ban. The evidence is there. Linda, who's a conservative, fully agrees. Toria, where do you stand on this?
I feel that we're in the state of this country because we have sacrificed our morals and the nuclear family has been completely destroyed. And as Christian conservatives, if that's what you believe in, I don't think you should waver just because it's a political issue. And if that's going to be the case, then what do you really stand for? Because we're in a season right now where you got to put your foot forward and be strong in your convictions, whatever that is. And I respect people's views who differ from mine, but that's where I'm at.
So you fully disagree with Linda?
I believe that I side with the supreme law of the land, and whatever they're going to decide is what I'll stand with. But I believe that as Christians, you're allowed to have a strong stance.
So everything she just said, I mean, I'll let you guys have this discussion right here.
I think she's allowed to believe what she's saying and that it may be an issue.
Don't you think it's a losing issue for Republicans?
If it's a losing issue, then I have nothing to say about that. I think that you have to take a stand. One way or the other.
Look, here's what I can tell you about Democrats. All right? They want to win. Straight up. Policy-wise, very hard to find a better policy than what Republicans are doing. The Democrats, put me in, coach, I just want to win. Open the border up, I don't give a shit. Free money over here, welfare, I don't care. Sure, let the ladies do what they want to do. They win, and then they govern, and that's how that works. Republicans, and respect to you, are like, I would never, not on my watch. And it's like, all right, cool, have fun not winning, buddy. We just saw what happened in the midterms in 2022. It was supposed to be a red wave.
Yeah.
But the Dobbs decision came down, and then it was a red teardrop because every Republican was crying.
It was a little wave.
It was a little wave. It was like a boop. Give me a little meow. Yeah. So, like, if that's the position, I actually respect the hell out of you, but get ready for Trump not to win.
Oh, I don't think that's going to be the reason.
But as an elected and a statesman, you do have
yeah.
to represent all, so it's definitely something to consider continuing that conversation.
Yeah.
Linda, please have this conversation with
I it is what it is. A lot of Christians feel that way. That's actually why the team at Tim Kass doesn't like me. It's actually a reason why many of the far-right groypers, Nick Fuentes, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them, don't like me. They think, I'm strategic. I'm a businesswoman. I know how Trump thinks. I've spoken to advisors. I speak to politicians every single day. If not, I meet with them like I did yesterday. And it's about strategy, right? And so we have a 6-week abortion ban here in Florida. That's what the voters wanted, right? That's why they elected DeSantis. So we have what we want here, and we let the states decide. That's what the 10th Amendment is about. That's what the Constitution is about. It's about the states and not the federal government. I just think it's funny, just real quick, you know, I don't mean to throw shade, but I don't know if you saw that your boy Fresh and Fit just got caught telling his baby mama to have an abortion. You know, these are men that preach conservatism, and they say that women take no accountability. And you know, he got caught.
I didn't hear anything about what happened.
He you know, impregnated a woman, and now she doxed, not doxed, but put out his information, voice notes, text messages of him saying he doesn't want a child and she should have an abortion. And I just think that's funny because, you know, we have all these men just telling women how evil and bad we are, trying to get your resources, gold diggers, you know, with children for 18 years. And I think it's fucked now. So
how do we know that that was actually accurate?
Just go see.
Okay.
I just have to say
I didn't
that.
hear anything about
Thank
that.
you.
So, but where do you stand on this position? Is it wrong for him to?
Yeah, it's totally wrong for him. He should take accountability for his actions. He decided to come inside of a woman. You know exactly what you do when you have sex. You're a 30-something-year-old man. Have the child. It's that simple. Get responsibility. Just like they say, women have no accountability. Women just walk around life having no accountability. Just, you know, just being women. They have it so easy. You decided to engage in sex. There's contraceptives. There's condoms. There's a pull-out method. I can go into details if you want me to. I'm not going to do it here. But you should have pulled out, and you shouldn't have had that child if you didn't want to have that child. That is your responsibility. Have the child.
Let them know, Linda. Let them know.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
Back to DeSantis. By the way, I had no clue about this. This is interesting
I'm
stuff.
breaking news.
Breaking news with Linda Catalina.
Breaking
So,
news.
Again, mostly peaceful.
Never
Latina here.
peaceful.
Mostly peaceful.
Put a ribbon on this. You're involved in the political spectrum. 6-week abortion ban, DeSantis. I don't think he was elected on this issue, right?
So the issue is, and I like that it came back to the states, and I believe in the states. I mean, it should be there. I don't know if you all know this, but I actually walked off the House floor. I didn't vote on the abortion issue.
Really? Why?
Because I'm not negotiating life. I'll vote once on this issue when it's right for everyone. And working behind the scenes, I met with every member of the Democratic caucus. I told them that there was data from Planned Parenthood, a real opportunity. I went to the Republican leadership. I went to all the members. They all knew what I was working on. And they gave me some time to do this. It's not like they said, this is the agenda of the day, and you vote for it or we run someone against you. By the way, even if they did say that to me, I vowed to, represent my district. So as much as I personally am a pro-lifer, for my choice as an elected, I'm going to represent all, and I'm going to keep my word to my district. I did the work. And remember, DeSantis, the Republicans in Florida were trying to push for a zero, like a total ban on abortion, right? And they got to the 6 weeks, but they were negotiating against themselves the whole time. The left was only allowed to advocate for an extreme. They would not come to the table. They would not budge, not one day, not 1 minute. And that was a problem. So the Republicans did what best they could with what they had to work with. I wasn't okay with it. I was new to this. It was very, controversial of a subject for me. And I wanted to make a statement. So I walked off the House floor. I didn't know at the time that you couldn't say all of this on the House floor when it came time to the vote. You're either yes or no. And I had prepared a whole speech. I was going to get up there and do this. It's all on YouTube, by the way. Just Google Fabian Basabi abortion, and I go through the whole thing. But when the majority leader told me, he's like, no, that's not the rules. When you're here, it's yes or no. You can only argue yes or no. You can't start brokering a deal on the House floor. I was like, okay, so I'm going to just take a walk. And I figured I'd deal with it later. And then the next year, I actually proposed a bill.
Wait, I have a quick question on that. How do you feel on the issue of cannibalism?
On what?
Cannibalism.
Cannibalism?
Yeah, how do you feel about cannibalism?
I like that it's illegal.
Okay, so you're waiting.
I hope to never be that hungry.
For your district to decide to represent them, but would you do the same with cannibalism? Would you go to cannibalism, plan cannibalism, and wait for them to give you a study on cannibalism?
No, but again,
because I think the point here, and I know some people may sound extreme. Like I'm a libertarian, and I'm against abortion from a libertarian standpoint. I think our body is our first property. I also was in a cooking show, so I know how to bake a cake. So when I mix
Hence
the cake,
the cannibalism thing.
yeah,
Got
no,
it.
when I mix the cake and I put it in the oven, unless someone comes in and throws the cake out, like I'm gonna get a cake, you know. So I think everyone is entitled to their body. So like women are super selfish in this issue because it's my body, my choice. Like, sorry, buddy. Like, you're growing another body, and another person is entitled to their own property that is their body. Like, I don't know what this mixed message thing. Like, I agree
But
that
I
it
also
shouldn't
agree
be
with
an
that.
issue for this election at a federal level. But and I believe in states' right. That's why I live in this state, and I wouldn't live in any other state. But I don't know why we need data on this.
Well, for me, I was having to make a decision, and I did my research, I did my homework, and I was trying to understand why are we not resolving this, with coming up with the 12 weeks with exceptions, which the majority, you were right. I think I forgot the number. It's like 94 or 96% of abortions happen in the first trimester, and any others are covered in the exceptions. If we've never historically needed more, why are we advocating for more? And then at the same time, why are we not refocusing on the investment on getting the lowest numbers, on properly educating people, on representing all the lives involved? It's not just the other life that's growing within you, but it's also, you know, those your partner and the extended families. I mean, there's a lot to consider here. It's a difficult subject, and it's a very...
that's why I brought cannibalism. So
Yeah.
like eventually in time, because the left will keep on pushing things. You know, they're relentless on pushing things and pushing boundaries. So this time is this. We had the whole Haiti cannibalism deal. There was articles about like cannibalism is a taboo. We should get over it and whatever. Like maybe in 10 years, you're gonna be on the floor and you're gonna be like, oh, well, maybe if the body's fresh enough, maybe we can eat it. Like I don't get the logic behind it.
Anyway,
I hope to never be that hungry.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm getting really hungry.
Remember that movie Alive?
Oh yeah, with the Argentina, the flight.
Next subject.
Pixie, serious question. Where do you stand on this cannibalism issue? Are you in it? Are we with
I
it?
love cannibalism
Yeah.
every night, baby.
It's a liberal thing. It's a liberal
Yeah.
But
Watch what's on the front page tomorrow.
But I think at least like from a progressive standpoint, the idea is that there is a disagreement on where life begins. You can say like, oh, you know, technically contraception because then it can like evolve to a baby, but then also it might not evolve to a baby. Like people have miscarriages all the time. We don't treat like a seed the same thing as a tree because a seed has to yet grow. It depends on the stage of development when we start calling it a tree instead of a seed, right? When we start talking about cake batter versus actually being a cake. So just because something can happen, it could develop into a baby, doesn't mean it currently is actually like a human life per se, or like basically a human being. Like I don't consider a cell of mine a human being, even though it technically has human DNA and is part of my physiology. So I think that's where like the progressive argument comes from, where it's like, well, when does life like actually 100% begin? You can't just say a clump of cells because again, if I have my hand isn't the same thing as my life, you know?
What about the taxpayer dollars that are aiding in this, right? I mean, when you are elected, you also have to be responsible for what that money is invested in. And you have the majority of Floridians who don't want their money invested in something like this. And this, well, some people argue that abortion is healthcare. Some people argue that it's an elective surgery because you shouldn't, you know, that shouldn't be your first choice. I'm not arguing for either side here. I'm just asking your opinion.
I think to me that argument's a little bit odd because people argue against like taxes for everything essentially. There's some people who believe like it's immoral to tax people to have like roads, for example. That, oh, shouldn't people be able to opt out of taxes in general? Like, you know, I don't believe in the military or something. I'm not saying I personally actually think that. I'm just saying progressives, some of them think that. And yet we wouldn't argue that it would be that we should take away their taxes per se so that they don't have to contribute to the military. So what I'm trying to get across here is that I understand people not wanting their taxes to be used in one way or another, but at least with the current system we have, everybody gets taxed in ways that they don't like. We can argue for a different system where you can opt in for your taxes, or you obviously have to pay tax no matter what. But it'd be like, oh, I'd rather have the majority of my taxes go to this than this than this, and let people decide like that. But we're not there yet, unfortunately.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.